Welcome to the Discover Solutions Show, autoimmune warriors embracing joy each and every day. Join Ryanne and Dr. Pat as they address the good, the bad, the ugly, and most importantly, the joyful. Not only will you get tips, tricks, and tools to help you embrace your wellness journey, but they will share the experience with you. Tune in to explore the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional facets of having autoimmune. You will learn unique tools to help you maximize your life. Do not put your life and your joy on hold until you feel better. Feel better now by putting your life and joy first. Stay tuned. It all starts now.
Hey, everybody, I'm Dr. Pat. We got a great show for you today. Happy, happy, happy. I wish we could play that happy song, Stefan. What was that? Was it Jarrell? Who? I don't remember. But you remember that happy song that came out where everybody's happy and everybody's dancing and there are like 50 million faces of people doing that? Well, today Ryanne takes on the solution of the two faces of happiness. What does that mean? Do you really want to be happy? Do you really, really want to be happy? Today, this is what we're going to take a look at. Let's kick it off. Happiness, is it elusive or can we actually achieve it, Ryanne?
I love this, Dr. Pat, and I love talking about this with you because we've had so many conversations that kind of skirt around this topic, but we haven't just like gotten in there and taken it apart. And I believe that everybody's on this happiness hustle. Everyone's trying to find that happiness, and it can be elusive, but I don't think it has to be.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think we go through moments of things. So let's talk about this. There's a general energy of happiness. I'm considered, generally speaking, the people that meet me, very optimistic, but that's not without my moments. I mean, if you were here, honestly, some days you look at my face because it doesn't mean I'm not happy inside. I'm also intense. So I go through this, what you call it, two faces. I go through this thing, and I've always gone through this in my life, where I seem happy, and then I have this really intensity about me, almost unapproachable. And part of it is because I really am an introvert. Every time I say that, I'm going to get a million emails. I really am an introvert. I've broken the Myers-Briggs scale because I'm such an introvert. But what does that mean? You see, happy on the inside, happy on the outside, they don't always look the same, do they?
Absolutely not. And I think too many of us at this point are trying to find that external happiness, what we call hedonic. And that's the shopping and the video games and that quick hit of dopamine that everyone's looking for. And with all of the instant gratification in the world today, it's very easy to go there, right? Let me just buy this on Amazon. Ooh, that felt good. And then you get the other hit when it arrives, in some cases not as quickly as other cases, but you get it's so easy. It's at our fingertips. But then we need more, and we need more, and we need more. So you can only shop for so long without it losing its hit. Right? There's that decreasing joy or hit of dopamine just with overdoing.
Yeah. I saw a t-shirt. It had to be about a month ago, or maybe it was less than that. There were people on the street and I was pulling out of our parking lot. And on the guy's t-shirt was, "I love dopamine." And it had a picture of himself, like cartoon-like. I mean, it took me a minute to see it, but his hair was like all, like shooting out. And it was like big and bold. "I love dopamine." Now, clearly there are going to be a lot of people that don't even know what that means.
That's true.
I mean, they're going to think this is like a drug addict person. But I just seeing that, I thought I didn't have time to talk with him because you know me. I would have stopped on the sidewalk and I would have said, "Hey, tell me about your t-shirt." But all of us want to have that sense of fulfillment. Now, happiness, fulfillment, going to India for a month, whatever that looks like, we're chasing something that's already inside of us, aren't we?
It can be,
Or could
but
be.
you use that great word fulfillment, and we all use different verbiage to mean similar or different things, right? And when you say fulfillment to me, I'm thinking eudaimonic happiness, that internal happiness, right? Fully filled. And that's where we look at purpose and giving back and philanthropy and those types of things that, let's face it, when we're talking autoimmune,
Oh,
it's easier to push by than it is sometimes to get out of bed.
oh my God.
However, that pressing by is not going to get us out of bed. It's the purpose that's going to get us out of bed. And that's that type of happiness that's going to get us through the flares. That's the type of happiness that keeps us wanting to find answers, keeps us striving, keeps us looking for more ways we can contribute and we can give back despite our symptoms.
I love that we're talking about this because I don't know if I've shared this, but I think I've talked to you about it. You know, my diagnosis came April 1st of 2004, 6 months after I started my first show. And by that point in time, I only had one show. I quickly moved on to 5 days a week, et cetera. However, had I not stepped in to that zone and said yes to that show, then 5 times a week, then 14 times a week, I do not think that I would have made it through my healing process, because this gave me a sense of fulfillment, especially knowing I was helping others. It gave me something to really fight for. And I don't know, and I'll probably never know, if I would have really made it through healing. Well, first of all, the people I met and I literally targeted to come on my show were things that I had never heard about: ozone blood cleaning. I mean, come on. And working with Dr. Darvish and others, and the work that you're doing to help people. See, we wouldn't have had this venue to help other people. But let's talk about that, because, well, at the moment, it seemed like a short-term bump. It then turned on to be my salvation.
And Dr. Pat, that's why I was so excited to bring this topic with you, because I know that you know this from a soul deep level. You found your purpose and you used it for healing. So we talk about happiness and we talk about, oh, I'll do that when I feel better. I feel too sick to do it. But you and I both know that that internal happiness is what drives us to heal. It's what lowers our stress hormones. It's what lowers the inflammation, and it gets us out of bed. It gets us moving. It gives us purpose. It gives us drive. And like you, I don't know if I would have made it through this without getting up and seeing clients and having appointments every day. It's been my reason. And some days, as I know you know, man, I just wish I didn't have that 8 a.m. appointment. But boy, by the end of that 8 a.m. appointment, I'm thinking, wow, I'm so glad that I had that 8 a.m. appointment.
I agree. And, you know, a lot of my appointments are not on my calendar, like today. I didn't come into our office today until maybe 8:30. But it doesn't mean that I wasn't up at 5 o'clock this morning on multiple calls in multiple places in multiple countries. But here's what I love about what you said. And this is the message I want to share with people. It doesn't mean we're not experiencing the full depth and the breadth of what's going on in our body. That is not what we're saying. From where I sit, the impact of that is less than the benefit of fulfillment and happiness in what I discovered in paying so much money for airtime and where we are today. You know, Ryan, I remember so let's just be clear. I have not always been the Dr. Pat Show. My original brand, and I love this brand, and we are bringing it back. Trust busting your way to an awesome life. I gave awards to Shirley MacLaine, Jane Fonda, and I should get the picture of me and Jane Fonda and have Stefan put it in the show. Or pictures of all of these people, Gloria Steinem, these people that had an impact on my life. And I went around and gave these crust busting awards. Hello. I mean, it's almost laughable to some people, but every time I say it, they're like, oh, that's so cool. Right. But this is who I had to be and how I had to up-level myself to at least be able to laugh at myself, because why was crust busting formed? It was me on my couch on Capitol Hill, Olive Way, in an apartment, and I couldn't get off. And I looked at myself with my remote and my dog, my beautiful Travis Collie. And I looked at myself and I said, girlfriend, you are so crusted. You have to bust through your crust. That's how crust busting was formed. And then I smiled. And then I got off the couch. See, what is your journey like? What gets you off the couch? Now, clearly calling myself, like whatever I did, but out of that came a beautiful idea. And here we are today. But what was it for you, Ryanne?
Like you, I had one of those days where I didn't know if I could get out of bed. And I know I shared that it wasn't a joyful thing that got me out of bed, but it was a very poignant thing, because I realized in that moment, on that day, that I was going to still be alive next week, next month, probably for a long time.
Mm.
So I could stay where I was, and I could be whiny, and I could feel sorry for myself, or I could decide that I was going to do everything I could to feel better.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing I did was not go find a doctor who listened to me, because the doctors weren't listening to me.
No.
The first thing I did, as corny as it sounds, is I started a gratitude journal. I started saying, I have to switch how I feel in here and in here to find the strength to deal with what's going on in here. So that's where I started. And it was all in a decision that I didn't verbalize this even to myself, but inside I knew that if I couldn't find the joy despite the pain, that I wasn't going to make it. And finding the purpose, finding the reason, and eventually, because that moment came before I went to the Middle East. For those that are unaware, I was in the Middle East for 7 years, supporting my heroes and heroines, and seeing those people, seeing those heroes just fight day after day to do what they believed was right, was soul affirming.
Yeah. I mean, look, you and I probably get asked a lot of questions, right? I think about this often, and I have been asked over time. Okay, so this is not my first year doing this. So this started in 2003, okay? But I've been asked over time, and I always get asked, what was your favorite interview, right? And my answer always is, what decade are you talking about? Do you want to look at the first 5 years? Because I said, I break it down into 5 different years. And they said, yes, what was your favorite first 5-year interview? And by far, I say, my interview with Congressman Jim McDermott. And they look at me and said, I don't even know who he is. Well, of course, he's retired, but he's from Seattle. And they said, why? I said, because we did an interview with the people in the VA on mental health. And I said, I have a background in my family. My mom committed suicide. So understanding mental health was so key for me. But the other part of it was what mentally and emotionally was going on with me. during my healing journey in the autoimmune stage. And then I get asked the next one. And I said, well, I'll tell you, I evolved and I became an advocate for Lyme disease. I created Lyme Talk Radio, also Lyme Global, and interviewing an attorney, Susan Green, who fought for the rights to get a Lyme test. So people like, really? You've interviewed Deepak and I said, well, okay, do you want to pick my favorite? Go ahead and pick what you think is my favorite. But you see, it depends on what we're talking about, because you and I are not out of the waters. May I say that? I want to be clear to people about what you and I are talking about. I hope we have an empathetic, compassionate understanding of autoimmune. I have a guy I play table tennis with. He's got MS. He comes and he plays. Some days he can't stand up straight. He gives me $20 for the donuts I bring in, but he plays. And I sit down and I talk with him. And I want to be clear, you and I are still warriors in this battle. And
Absolutely.
I go through weeks like the past 2 weeks I've had where I'm reminded that I better take great care of myself. What do you do to remind yourself that you've got to take care of yourself, not just physically, Ryanne? We're talking about emotionally, spiritually, or otherwise, because that's what happiness is. You can't do one part of it without the other, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think every time I sit in this chair, and you can't see it, but it has arms on it. And it was a gift from someone who is very special to me. And this chair was given to me because it supports me well enough that when someone had to put me in it because I was too dizzy to walk and I could fall off of a different chair, this one would allow me to work and be present for my clients without fear of injury or having to stop. So something as simple as this chair, but every day when I talk to people, whether they're first responders or they're autoimmune warriors, every single day, these people remind me of how important it is to show up and to be the example that we can be. And not every day is wonderful.
Yeah.
We have flares, we have struggles, but the focus does not necessarily have to be on the flare or the struggle. We can accommodate them, and the focus can still be on how do we create an amazing life?
Yeah.
So, like you're talking about, the people you speak with are inspirational to you, if I may use that word.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the people I speak with are inspirational to me. And I think that's so powerful. And like you, I'm an extreme introvert. And by the end of the day, speaking with people, I'm happy to pull back into my little cave. But this interaction keeps me on track. It keeps me on point, and it keeps me knowing that what we do is so powerful and so worthwhile and so needed that it reaffirms my existence.
Yeah. And, I want to be very clear because I'm like you. I am out in the world. I am now doing, I don't even count how many shows I do now with all of you, and I love it. And I love my show with Mark. And yes, so being an introvert means when we're done with this, or whatever your this is, I grew up as a kid and I spent a lot of time in my stairwell closet as a kid. I had my little she cave in there, my little flashlight, my little chair under the stairwell. And my mom, Mama Doris, my stepmom, never questioned it. She knew that I had to get away from a chaotic situation that I was in. My dad remarried. Now we have like 2 sisters, and I just needed a moment. And I so appreciated that of her. Right now, she did take me to Dr. Jacoby when I started to dress up like Elvis and play the guitar. She absolutely thought, what is going on with her? I was just channeling Elvis. That's all. I now know that. But here we are today. Let's talk about how we blend these different faces of happiness, because I don't even know if that's the right way. Blending, integrating. We have to create a tapestry between these 2 energies. Tell us how to do that.
Absolutely. And I believe you're absolutely right. I think too many people are looking for that external hit of dopamine. But once you find that purpose and that drive, and that purpose may not remain the same your entire life, you may shift from one thing to another. But once you find that purpose, that reason to get going, then that kind of will help take you through the flares and the harder times. But then when you feel good, when you're able to, you add in those other external things. You add in your gardening, or you add in your table tennis, or you add in those things that bring us so much external joy. And now suddenly we have this balance and this harmony and this dance that can take us through and not only help us appreciate the good times, but help us go through the harder times as well.
You want to hear a funny table tennis story?
Absolutely.
So I've got this little mark on my neck. I don't know if you can see it. I tried to put, okay, so it looks like a hickey. Hello. And so somebody asked me about it and starts to joke about it. And I thought for a minute, do I let them go on thinking that really my life is that fascinating? And I said, no. And I looked at them and I said, like, dude, I got hit with the ping pong ball. And you could hear a pin drop. Like, what? Because they had this entire fascinating story about me, which I could have hung on to, right? I could have been like, yeah, that's me out on the town. Look out. And then I was like, just tell them. And I'm like, okay, that's a ping pong ball. And they looked at me like, that's not possible to be hit that hard. And so I ended up having a great conversation about a sport that I love, right? And Linda got hit in the head just by sitting on the sidelines. And then the girl almost got herself knocked out by a ping pong ball. But that's not the point. We have to discover along the way how to integrate those two sides of happiness and how to be great with wherever you are. But please tell us what you've learned in your journey to step into that level of fulfillment despite the body flaring up, the aches and pains, the migraine headaches, your hair doesn't look good. You got something on your neck that people really think that they know what it is. How do you get through that?
Honestly, I feel like I cheat.
Oh, teach me.
I encourage my clients to cheat. I have some exercises where we do up our cheat sheets and we do up our lists and we do up those things that through self-rumination, we begin to realize and learn and teach ourselves. So when you take the unconscious and make it conscious, it becomes a tool. So if you take that unconscious, you make it conscious, now you know what brings you happiness, both internal and external. You write it down. And then you go online and you find other things that can support that inner need as well. And we make up cheat lists, and you have this toolbox of options and opportunities that can cover any scenario. And you start to learn to look for the opportunity. You train your brain to look for the good. The bad falls away when you're so focused on the good. The opportunities are more easily seen when you're focused on the good. So we do kind of this dance, and we train our brains to find the good and to find the opportunity. And then we have our support structure and our toolboxes ready and able, and we can reach into that toolbox anytime we want.
Yeah. Look, let's talk about our closing message. And I have a role model that I look up to about this message, about the world and society telling us we have to have a great physical body to be happy. And then I point to one of my role model, which I followed for so many decades, Stephen Hawking. I had to do that. I had to do that in 2004. I had to find someone that transcended whatever was going on in their body. Tell us about this obsession we have now about our body being the script that we play in some fantasy movie that we think will take us to happiness?
I think it's all over our screens, and our screens show us what an ideal and happy life should look like. And we follow social media and we follow the regular media, and it gives us all of these ideas. But you don't need a perfect body, obviously, to have an amazing and a meaningful life. You just need to stop chasing the wrong kind of joy. You need to stop chasing the dopamine, stop chasing the social media ideal, find your purpose, find that inner drive, and then use the external as an adjunct to it, and embrace every moment. If you think about the number of blessings you have right in this moment, right where you're sitting, no matter how you're feeling, if you can hear what we're saying, you're blessed with hearing.
I love this message. Can Ryanne, please tell people how they can work with you? Because one of the things I say to people is, if you are in the situation we're talking about, you want to work with someone who has taken the journey, not someone who wants to talk about taking the journey, but someone who has gone through, as Stephen Hawking would say, every black hole of despair of autoimmune, to shine a light on the pathway to happiness. How do people find out about you? How do they work with you?
Absolutely. They can find me on discoversolutions.net. They can please take advantage of it. Sign up for a free 15-minute consultation and let's just chat. I love chatting with people. I love finding out what you're looking for, what you need, and how I can help. New programs will be coming online soon, but you can always request one-on-one coaching. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to support. Sign up for the mailing list, please. We're getting that up and running very shortly. And of course, watch the videos.
I love it.
Transformation Radio Network.
Ryanne, I want to thank you. It took me a really long time to come out in public. I went through about 10 years of not even, people never knew what I was going through. The only thing they noticed when my cells stopped working is that I gained 50 pounds, right? When your cells don't work, they don't work. They don't work anywhere. I don't care what kind of diet you're on. You could be on like some kind of black hole diet, and that ain't going to get you anywhere. But then when I launched the network, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't hold the secret. Thank you for not staying a secret.
Thank you. Thank you for providing this platform for all of us to offer the help and support to so many people who need it.
Yeah. Ryanne, thank you so much. Stefan, thank you. Y'all, we're going to take a, that was my mama coming through me, Mama Doris. Y'all, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to the Discover Solutions Show, Autoimmune Warriors Embracing Joy each and every day. For more support and understanding that autoimmune can often affect mental as well as physical health, tune in every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where Ryanne Stellingwerf and Dr. Pat help you learn to see the positive, the gifts, and the blessings that surround you. Don't put your life and your joy on hold until you feel better. Feel better now by putting your life and your joy first. For more information about Ryanne, visit discoversolutions.net.